Hello and welcome. My name is Space Muffin, and this is the Void Strategy. So today we're going to give you guys an updated tier list for 2024. So let's go ahead and get started with Baron Rivendell. Baron Rivendell, S tier, really good in PvP, really great in PvP. He's just all around really great. What's so great about him is he gets you that value. The fact that you have two undead spawning at your base, and then the fact that you can make them into with the jeweled ability where they become like frost mages, little guys. That is incredibly good. Blood Mage Thalanos is incredibly good for this particular season. PvE, he's pretty good, but he does have a lot of weaknesses, and for that, I'm going to put him in C tier for now. The next we have Bloodhoof. So the thing about Bloodhoof is incredibly good in PvP, incredibly good in PvE, and all around just really good hero. There's a lot of synergy with Bloodhoof, and very versatile. There's so many decks you can build with him. So we're going to go ahead and put him in A tier. Next we have Razorflank. And Razorflank, they're really good. In PvE, really bad in PvP. The problem with this hero is there's really only one type of deck that you can build that's effective, and so it's really not that diverse, if that makes any sense. The abilities are okay. It can be kind of a fun deck. For that, we are gonna unfortunately have to put this one in D tier. Okay, so next we are looking at my homeboy, right? We're looking at my homeboy. What's his name? Drakasath or whatever? I can't pronounce it, but we're looking at him. He's decent, C tier, There's better opportunities. There's better heroes that you can use. Emperor Thaurissan, pretty decent hero. Pretty diverse. Works really well with a lot of melee units, obviously, because of his ability. Cost is pretty reasonable. Not quite A tier, but he's definitely B tier. And of course, this leaves us with Hellscream. Hellscream is amazing. The fact that it gives all of the units Bloodlust is incredibly overpowered. Not quite S tier, but definitely A tier. Next, of course, we have one of my favorites, the Hogger. Hogger is really good. Situational. There are ways to shut down Hogger pretty easily. But once Hogger gains momentum, that's where Hogger starts to really dominate. I would say B tier for Hogger. The next, obviously, we have Jaina. Now, I love Jaina. A lot of people are going to hate on Jaina. I think Jaina's really good. In this current meta, Jaina's good. But the thing about Jaina that I like is she's very diverse. Now, she is a little bit squishy, and so she is going to have problems if you can target her and things like that. She's high C, low B, so I'll put her in B tier. Maeve. Okay, so Maeve is really good because everything gets unbound. I mean, she has unbound, but there's a lot of ups to Maeve. I would say Maeve is definitely better than Emperor Thaurissan. Maeve is very diverse, and the fact that Maeve can cost less, so what makes Maeve really good is the fact that you can just skip the towers and plop everything at the base. So for that reason alone, I'm actually going to put her in high A tier. Like the fact that you can just... Oh, there's Maeve. Okay. So we're going to put Maeve in A tier. Why does it keep doing that? That's weird. Okay. So next, that leaves us with Old Murk-Eye. Fun deck. I just did a video on this. If you want to watch the video, obviously we have that up. Old Murk-Eye is pretty decent, pretty solid. Really good in PvE. Really decent in PvP if you build the deck right. There are some major glaring problems. So, for example, they have problems with spot removal. But other than that, that's really Old Murk-Eye's only weakness is the spot removal. So for that, we're going to put them in probably B tier. Okay, so next we have Rend Blackhand. The thing about Rend Blackhand is you get a flying unit and you get a ground unit in one. Incredibly powerful in PvP. The fact that it makes your flying units cost 1 is ridiculously broken in PvP. It's really good in PvE. If you are going to invest in a hero, this would be one to do. This is definitely S tier for me. This leaves us with Sneed. Sneed's good, fun. It's a fun deck. PvE, really good. PvP, it's decent. You can make Sneed work, but There's not as much diversity, but I would definitely say that it's better than Blood Mage Thalanos. So we're going to put Sneed in the B tier. Sylvanas. Now, this is going to be a controversial decision, what I'm about to say. A lot of people do not think Sylvanas is a great hero. Sylvanas is one of my favorite heroes. So why do I like Sylvanas? It's the speed buff that she gives to your horde, or not your horde. Actually, yeah, your horde and your undead minis. So that's pretty good. She can dish out a ton of damage. Her weaknesses are that she just simply costs too much. But the fact that you get a Banshee off for free, if you combo her with the Ghoul, you know, you can really put in some damage. I'm gonna put her in high B tier. Yeah, we'll put her. Yeah. Next we have Tyrion. If you've watched any of my videos, S tier. The fact that Tyrion heals like crazy is ridiculous. So there's just so many disgusting things that you can do with Tyrion. It's ridiculous. Don't really need to say much about Tyrion. Next we have the Abomination. Abomination's decent. Suffers from a similar problem to Sylvanas. But the Noxious Presence ability, where it poisons everything, is incredibly useful. It's very tanky. We're going to also put this unit in B tier, probably right there. Angry Chickens are fun, they're hilarious, but they are definitely D tier. Arcane Blast is literally only good in like Jaina and Blood Mage Thalanos, so like the problem with it, it's literally not a diverse unit. If you're not running a spell casting deck, there is no purpose. There's really no point. It's not good enough, you know, unless you're running like Blood Mage Thalanos or Jaina, it's really not. So for that, it's going to go into D tier. Banshee is pretty decent. There are a lot of strategies around Banshee. If your opponents are running like slow kind of tanky units such as Abomination or even the Molten Giant, the Banshee does come in handy. The Banshee's diverse. You know, you can gain control of a lot of stuff. Core Hound. There's just so much you can do with it. Like literally you can gain control of Tyrion. And literally for that reason alone, some people just run it. So I'm going to put the Banshee in the B tier. Okay, so next we have the Bat Rider. Bat Rider is very good. Really, really, really powerful against ground units. Low cost. Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. So I'm actually going to put the Bat Rider in B tier. Okay, so the next would be Blizzard. Blizzard is a very diverse spell. It can freeze your opponents. It kills things. There's so much stuff you can do with it. If you're kind of like on one of those games where it's like neck and neck, you can use Blizzard to win. Blizzard is an incredibly diverse spell. For that reason, it's going into A tier. Chain Lightning, same thing. I love Chain Lightning. A lot of people do not like Chain Lightning. I think it's a great alternative to Blizzard in the sense that you have that spot removal. On super duper high levels of PvP, it might not be as relevant, but I do run Chain Lightning in a lot of decks, but I am going to go ahead and put Chain Lightning in low B tier. Next we have Cheat Death. This ability, it's good. It's very specific. It's kind of similar to Arcane Blast. Unless you're running a deck that specifically would take advantage of the spell, it's really not worth it. It's not worth investing in. So we're gonna go ahead and do D tier. The Chamaria, decent creature. You know, it works really good in Razor Flank. It works decent in. You could run it in like Murkai and things like that. Pretty diverse unit for Beast. A little high cost, but you know, you get if it even cost one less, it would be just mind-numbingly broken. So we're going to go ahead and put that one in B tier. Probably, yeah, right there. Next, we have the Core Hounds. The Core Hounds are also really good. A little situational, but they are decent. I don't run them in a lot of decks, but I know a lot of people who do. You know, the fact that they can res each other, like they have some niches. You know, you can do a lot of interesting combos with them. I'm going to go ahead and also put them into B tier. If it fits your playstyle, you know, I would say do it. Okay, Dark Iron Miner. Okay, this is a interesting unit. Like the fact that it can leave behind mines, the fact that it, you know, has a little bit of melee damage, but it also, you know, mines literally. I think that it is incredibly useful in a lot of decks. So, but also at the same time, you know, it's one of those situations where we look at the Dark Iron Miner and, you know, it's like some decks don't need it, right? And that's kind of the hard part. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in C tier. Okay, the Troll. The Darkspear Troll, like, I don't know what I put this last time. Like, a lot of people, when this unit first was announced, or when people first were playing the game, they didn't really like this unit. but it has proven itself to become incredibly useful, especially now that we have a lot of flying units like the Chamaria and like the new dragon dude that came out. It's incredibly good. It does really good against flying units. It's got that poison, but it can also heal itself. This is definitely graduated to A tier. Okay, next we have Deep Breath. Deep Breath, really great spell. If you've unlocked this spell, it's really amazing. A tier. Defias Bandits. Okay, literally, these guys are so good. It's basically, what I like about these guys is they stun people, and you can get the chest like opening ability. So like they're 1 gold, and they provide insane value. Pretty much any alliance deck, or there's so many decks that this can go in, and it's such a diverse unit. Definitely S tier for me. Gargoyle, I think most people would agree that this is A tier. Pretty tanky unit. It provides that threat. The only reason why it's not S tier is it's really not that diverse of a unit, but the fact that like it does what it does so well, and that's Siege. It does it so well. That kind of goes with the Drakes as well. The Drake, you have the Mother ability, which, plops down eggs. It's really good for lane control. Has a lot of weaknesses, though. There's a lot of weaknesses to this deck. Spot removal, or to this mini. Spot removal, the Troll, things that basically deal range damage. But it is an incredibly decent unit, and the fact that it provides value, the fact that you get those eggs, definitely makes it A tier. Next, we have the Earth Elemental. Earth Elemental is really good, high A tier. What I like about the Earth Elemental is the fact that you can just plop it at your opponent's bases. So if you're running, there's just so much stuff you can do with it. But the fact that it can just pop towers, and the fact that it has Unbound is pretty good. Next, we have Execute. Execute is also really good. You can make it to where you give your horde units or units within that circle. You can give them. Bloodlust is incredibly good. So we're also going to put this one in A tier. Okay, this is an interesting one. So we have the dragon little thingy. I have not found a lot of use for this unit. I think it's good. I think it has a lot of potential. The fact that it can buff your units and give them, like resistance and stuff like that, I think it's pretty good. But I'm not seeing the play. I'm not seeing like a lot of play with this unit in my personal decks. I think that this has definite potential. And so for that reason, I'm going to put it in C tier. Okay, next we are going to be talking about the Fire Elemental. Fire Elemental is good. Pretty solid card, or sorry, pretty solid mini. B tier, if you run this play style, I think it's a great unit. So this thing is pretty decent. Firehammer, she is pretty diverse, and does get rid of a lot of pesky units. Pretty decent abilities. I'm going to go ahead and put the Firehammer in B tier behind the Fire Elemental. This is the guy I was thinking of, the Flame Walker. Flame Walker is really good. Borderline broken against ground units. That's it. That's literally it. So, if you're running any kind of flying units, this thing is nullified. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in the B tier. Probably right there. Next, we have the Footmen. Footmen, in my opinion, are okay. They're pretty decent. They're very specific, There's better units you can run. They do, they're tanky. You can run them, with Holy Nova and things like that. There's stuff you can do with them. I just think that there's better units that you can run. And in the current meta, they are definitely C tier. Next is the Ghoul. The Ghoul is straight up B tier, dude. This thing is... In fact, I would actually going to put this above Sylvanas. So what I like about the Ghoul is it's tanky. It costs 2. It can heal itself. It can give itself armor. Works great with Sylvanas. Works great with Baron Rivendell. Heck, it works great with a lot of decks. So pretty synergistic. Pretty good card. Or sorry, good mini. Next, we have... the Null Brute. Null Brute is not that great. It does have the cycle ability. You can make it cost, a little less, and, but it's not diverse enough. It's not used in enough decks for it to be B tier. But I would actually put it maybe right there. The next units that we're going to talk about are the Goblin Sappers. Goblin Sappers are incredibly specific, but they're incredibly good. So what makes the Sappers so amazing is the fact that you can combo it with Smoke Bomb, right? and then it's like you get that. It's like a guaranteed pop against the boss, or it's a guaranteed. You can pop towers with it pretty well. Really good. Next we have Griffin Rider. This thing is borderline broken. The fact that it can hit, has the mighty throw ability, which basically gives it that range. It's incredibly good. It costs 2 gold. You can plop it in so many decks, and it's just really good. Really, just a really good thing to invest in. This is definitely high A tier, borderline S tier. I'm gonna put it in like A tier. Next, we have the Harpies. The Harpies are incredibly good. You have the poison. They can mine. They're really diverse. One of the best flying units in the game. They are definitely A tier, and I would put them behind Meve. Okay, next we have the Harvester Golem. The problem with the Harvester Golem is it's decent in like Jaina because it can stun, right? It can stun people, but it is like it's a great replacement for the Footman. Actually, I'd rather run this over the Footman, but it's still C tier, just because of how specific it is. Okay, next we have Holy Nova. Holy Nova, like on paper, sounds like it's a good card or a good mini, but it's not diverse enough. C tier for sure. The Huntress. The Huntress it costs 5 gold. It's still incredibly good. It can gain stealth. There's so much stuff that you can do with the Huntress. The Huntress is borderline broken as well. The fact that it can hit flying units, it hits multiple units at the same time. It is incredibly diverse. I would say not as good as the Gargoyle, but still pretty decent actually. Living Bomb costs too much. D tier. Like I really wouldn't. I mean, there's really not. I can't think of any like reasons to run this card. To be honest, I cannot think of any reasons to run this that many. Meat Wagon is actually really good. I've been running it a little bit more. What I like about Meat Wagon is this. Let's say you're on a bridge, right, and you have, say, like a ghoul attacking or something like that. The Meat Wagon will also help hit that bridge, even though it's multi-plane. The reason why this thing is not A tier, or the reason why this thing is I don't put this in A tier is because the Meat Wagon does not hit flying units, which it would actually almost be S tier if it could hit flying units. So, but yeah, it's definitely B tier. Molten Giant. Okay, so a lot of people hate this card, but I think the fact that it is super beginner friendly, like the fact that like you can like borderline beat the whole entire game with just this card. It's very diverse on a lot of those decks. I think it's low C tier. You can do some fun stuff with it for sure. The Mountaineer is only really good in one deck, but it's better than pretty much all these other D tier ones, so I'm going to put it above the Chickens. Okay, next we have the Murloc Tidehunters. Murloc Tidehunters are pretty decent, relatively specific, but they can bubble, so they eat that first hit. It's pretty good. Not the best. There's better units you can invest in, so I'm going to go and put it probably here. Okay, next we have the Necromancer. So the thing about the Necromancer is it costs 4, but it provides so much value. The fact that it's kind of like a pseudo tank, and it can act as a range unit. There's a lot of synergy with the Necromancer. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in high B tier. Right behind Sylvanas, probably. Okay, now we have the Ogre Mage. The Ogre Mage it's not really, in my opinion, it's not really used a lot in PvP. And the PvE decks that it's used in, I mean, there's better stuff you can put it in. Or there's better ranged units. Like, for example, the Troll, only costs 3, there's better options. It is a decent card, though, in the sense that, like, if you just happen to, like, have it, you could run it. But in my opinion, there's a lot better cards that you can run. So it's definitely D tier for me. Okay, next we have the Plague Farmer. I pretty much, I was running this, but it is a bad card. It's a bad unit. There's better stuff. You can get poison from other places. And so it does hit, like if you're running, it's good against other D tier units. It's good against the Chickens. It's good against the Footmen. It's good against stuff like that. But that's a no go for me. I'm actually gonna put it right there. It's below the Arcane Blast. Not necessarily saying that Arcane Blast is unusable, but that's kind of where we're at. Polymorph C tier. I mean, it's decent, but it's not I don't know. It's usable in specific situations and for specific play styles, but I think there's once again better things that we can be using. Yeah, I put chain, like you could use chain lightning for spot removal. The problem with polymorph is if you polymorph something and then like you don't have a unit to destroy the polymorphed creature, you can potentially be helping your opponent by, you know, they put out some more units and then now they have a bigger mob coming towards your tower. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Okay, so next we are going to talk about one of my favorite units, the Prowler. It can pop out of stealth. It's unbound. This is definitely a low B tier for me. It's specific, once again. But the fact that you can kind of... It just takes too long. Actually, you know what? Let's put it in high C tier. It just takes too long to pop out of stealth. But I don't know. It's pretty, like, pretty good, in my opinion. I just wish it was a little bit more diverse. Pyromancer is definitely A tier. Low A tier, actually. Because here's the thing about the Pyromancer. It's a spellcaster. It synergizes with a lot of units, and it doesn't cost a lot. That's kind of the bottom line there. The Quillbore is god. If there was a god tier, this would be in it. Quillbore is so broken, okay, especially with tunnel vision. And let me explain why. The Quillbore, you can use it as a distraction. You can tank with it. You can plop it right on the bases. Like you can pop towers. Like there's so much you can do with the Quillbore. It's kind of disturbing, actually. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And the fact that it only costs 2 is incredible. Really incredible. Raptors, they're C tier. There's really not much you can do with the Raptors. I might put them slightly above the Murloc. The problem with these guys is they're so easy to get rid of. Chain Lightning. Blizzard. Literally the Batwing person, you know, Witch Doctor gets rid of these guys. There's just too many units that get rid of these guys. Safe Pilot, I think we can all agree that this is S tier. Unbound, burns people. This thing did get nerfed, but it's still incredibly good. They would have to, in order for this thing to be like, if it costs 4, it would probably be B tier. But the fact that it costs 3, it's definitely an S tier. That leaves us with the Shaman. Shaman is definitely A tier. I don't know if it's quite as good as the Huntress, but let me tell you what's so great about the Shaman. The fact that you can heal so many units, it's really good. And then you have the Earth Shield. So like there's a lot of good stuff that you can do with the Shaman. In my opinion, make it definitely A tier. It's very diverse. Skeleton Party, that's another one. Unbound, diverse. Really good. You can distract people. Similar to the Quillbore, but the thing about the Quillbore is this costs 4, Quillbore costs 2, and the Quillbore is a little bit tankier. So Skeleton Party is definitely A tier. The skeletons themselves, in my opinion, are not as good as the Skeleton Party, but the thing about the skeletons is the same principles apply. So I'm going to put them in low B tier. Okay, what are these guys called? The Spiderlings. Don't run them. Like there's no purpose. They're so specific, and like in any beast deck or any decks that you get the buff from the beast, there's just better things to run, you know. Okay, that leaves us with Stonehoof Tauren. Obviously, this one is definitely A tier. What I like about the Stonehoof Tauren is you get that stun off, you know what I mean, and it's relatively tanky, so pretty good. Vultures. Don't run the Vultures. They're just terrible. In fact, I don't know. Like I'd almost run the Spiderlings over the Vultures. They're just too easy to get rid of. They're just way too easy to get rid of. This leaves us with the Grunts. They're a little bit too expensive for what they do, but they aren't quite D tier. I would definitely put them in C tier. And maybe above the Raptors. I mean, they're situational. So I don't know. Maybe I'll put them with the Footmen. So like you'll notice like the Footmen, they're kind of, you know, like I said, they work good with a lot of alliance units. You know, you could even run it in Jaina, but the Grunts, I don't know, it's just too specific. Maybe if they release like units that are Horde specific, you know, like something like Thrall, like Horde units cost 1 less or something like that, then they'd probably be a lot better. The Warsong Rider is definitely like really good B tier. It would be A tier, but it costs too much. Whelp Eggs are definitely A tier. Unbound, you can pop units. They have one really good ability that makes them definitely A tier. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do with the Whelp Eggs. That's what's so great about them. And then they synergize so good with Ren Blackhand because they cost 1 less. So you can pop them at your base. You can put them in a lane. You can put, there's so much you can do with them. So needless to say, they are definitely A tier. This brings us with the Witch Doctor, dude. The Witch Doctor is amazing for crowd control. I'm going to put it in A tier. Only cost 2. The fact that it can get rid of, like, just so, it's so good. You know, like there's just so much stuff you can do with it. And the fact that it only costs 2 makes it incredibly broken. Last but certainly not least. So where do I put the Prowler? I like to run the Prowler a lot. Oh, wait, sorry. The Worgen. Oh, my goodness. I confuse these two. I confuse the Prowler and the Worgen because they have such similar pictures. Okay, so the Prowler, still C tier. The Worgen. Okay, so yeah. Everything I said about the Prowler, the Worgen, still applies, you know? The Prowler, let's just swap these guys out real quick so you guys. So the Prowler is really good. Not as good as the Worgen, though. The Prowler can pop people. The Prowler's a little bit tanky. The Prowler is pretty specific, though. Low B tier for the Prowler. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put both these guys in low B tier. Let's do a couple amendments. Okay, let's see what I want to amend. I want to put the Prowler, right there. And I want to put the Worgen right there. Actually, no, let's put the Worgen right here. Let's put... I think that the C tier is pretty decent. Maybe like that. The D tier looks good. Okay, so there you guys have it. I know this was a big video. I know there was a lot of information. You know, I wanted to kind of go fast because there's so many units in the game. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video.